55. Inbounded to Luka Garza. Hit the three! Garzilla!
There we go! Man, that was like some Larry Legend type of stuff.
He said, take that ATO and shove it. I'm shooting this thing.
Luka Garza with a game winner in Game 82, a game that the Celtics, everyone else across the league is looking at and saying they've got no reason to win this game except the Stay Ready group. Without the top 8 players in their rotation, they were ready for the task tonight. They beat the Orlando Magic 113-108, changes the landscape as far as the playoffs go for some of those seedings, 5 through 8. We'll get through that in just a little bit. But Tom Giles, Chris Forsberg, Eddie House. Eddie, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on what you saw from this Celtics group tonight?
That's what I've seen. I've seen fight, because there were times we got up big. Then Orlando started making that run. They cut it to 3, and it could have easily went the other way. But it didn't. We got stops because there was a span there in the fourth quarter. We couldn't get a basket. We were missing baskets. We turned the ball over. And then on the flip side of that, they were coming down, going to the free throw line, scoring with the clock stopped. And then they were able to make it. And then they made a couple threes here and there. Suggs made a 3. They ain't make that 3 over there. But at the end of the day, I don't think everybody on the team pretty much had a career high. Mm-hmm. And so what they did was take advantage of their minutes. They took advantage of their opportunity. And that's why you never can underestimate anybody. Everybody's pros out there just because they don't have the Tatums, the Browns, and all of the guys that you're used to seeing out there doesn't mean these guys can't play basketball. And they went out there and showed that tonight.
Giles, you know what the Orlando Magic are going to see when they close their eyes tonight?
What's that? The Bus One boys, huh?
The Bus One boys. Look, the Orlando Magic just lost to the Catan crew. Like, the guys who hanging out in the back of the plane, playing board games, in a must-have game for the Orlando Magic in order to have home court in the play-in, they falter. I told you guys before this game, you knew what sort of energy the bench crew was going to bring.
You knew they were going to compete.
You knew they were going to compete. And look, they took a punch early, and they don't know any better, and they just kept coming back. And Baylor Scheierman, tongue wagging, mullet flowing. It was so much fun to watch. This is why Game 82 ends up being kind of one of the better games of the year, regardless of who's out there, because everyone wants to seize that opportunity. These guys haven't played 40 minutes in forever. You could tell they were gassed at like 9 different points of this game. And yet they just found a way. And Garza throwing in that crazy 3 on a 2-for-1. It's just so cool to see all those guys being rewarded for the effort and waiting for their opportunity. And yet again, the story of the season, when the opportunity arrived, they were ready.
Okay, and obviously...
Real quick, I'm going to say this. I didn't mean to cut you off, Giles, but look how hard Joe was still coaching. Mm-hmm. Game 82. You see how hard he was coaching. I don't know the name of that referee, number 51. He missed a bunch of calls, and Joe was letting him know about it. But how hard he was coaching, timeouts at the right time, getting on guys, getting on the referees, wanting his guys to do something and wanting his guys to execute better in certain situations. And I think that's where it starts, is if your head coach is doing that, then you have no choice but to follow suit.
Yeah, and you saw him try to get that challenge late in the game. He subsequently got a different challenge a couple plays later, but all the way up until the very end. And, I thought the Baylor Scheierman game was a couple nights ago against the New York Knicks, but maybe this is right there in the running for it. Baylor Scheierman putting up a career-high 30 points, had 7 rebounds, 7 assists, continues to play a big part of that second unit for this Celtics team, and he's going to be in the rotation come postseason, Chris.
Yeah, and look, he was on the floor. He was giving up the body. The one thing he started worrying about was, he's one guy who's probably going to be out there in the postseason. You want to keep him upright, but I just love the way he played. When he gets hot, it's a little reminder, just get out of his way. That third quarter, he could not miss. It's sort of his energy was infectious out there for this group, and yet again, glad to see a guy that really kind of waited for his opportunity and earned Joe's confidence and became an integral part of the rotation, but here on an even bigger stage to go out and have a career night.
Looking at it in this light as well, I thought that Baylor Scheierman was probably not going to play because at the beginning, before we found out anything, that he wasn't going to be playing because he has been in the rotation. He has been a guy who's been out there helping his team win basketball games. But I think it was part of Joe's plan to put him out there, knowing that Orlando's going to be doing everything that they can do to try to win and try to get that 6th seed. So now he's in heavy competition, and he's the focal point of the team. He's the guy that's going to be making decisions with the basketball in his hands. He's going to be the guy that is going to be having to score. He's going to be the guy that's rebounding. He's going to be having to guard some of the better players on their team, if not the best player on their team, if he can match up with them. So I also think this was calculated by Joe at the same time. And, you know, Baylor has he's been rocking for, what, about a week now? So why this into this week, feeling really, really good about himself, have a really good week of preparation, and get ready for the playoffs.
All right. And speaking of getting ready for the playoffs, get to Baylor in just a second, but the Orlando Magic will play at the Philadelphia 76ers on Wednesday. Wednesday at 7:30. So the Celtics will play the winner of that game. Orlando visiting Philadelphia on Wednesday.
It was supposed to be Tuesday. Their building is tied up for hockey, and as such, the game gets moved to Wednesday.
Okay, so it'll be a few days before we find out. Meanwhile, let's send it back out. Abby Chin standing by with Baylor Scheierman.
You told me in New York that you were a gamer. I believed you, but this was incredible. What did you guys just do?
I mean, we just played Celtic basketball. We played really hard. We competed on both ends of the floor. We executed the game plan, and we shared the ball. And, you know, we all had confidence in each other, whoever was on the court. And you know, that's Celtic basketball.
That last ATO that Luka hit the game winner on, what was going through your mind? And were you supposed to get the ball in the first pass?
No, the play was for Luka. I mean, that's not how it was drawn up. It just happened to get in his hands, and honestly, that was a tough shot. So credit to him for hitting it.
What is it about this team, no matter who is out there on the floor, that you are able to play to that standard, and that standard is winning basketball?
Yeah, I mean, that just comes from the top down. You know, every game we step out on the court, we're expected to win, and we carry that with us. And, you know, that was no different tonight. We just came out and executed.
Finally, 4 guys, including yourself, had career highs tonight. Joe tells us all the time, 1 through 17 is going to impact winning on this team. But what does this kind of game and this kind of win do for that Stay Ready group?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a credit to, you know, all the guys that played tonight that, you know, made big-time plays. I think it's a credit to the work that we put in, the confidence we have in each other. And, you know, any given night, we're all expected to, you know, make an impact, and that's what we do.
Baylor, thank you. Congrats. 2 big thumbs up to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, thanks, Abby. Meanwhile, we got Drew and Scal standing by on the floor at TD Garden. Pretty exciting game 82 here, fellas, as the Celtics send Orlando to Philadelphia. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, Giles, it's just funny to listen to Baylor Scheierman try to do a serious interview like that. He's such a goofball. I mean, but in the best way. He's also a really interesting character, Scal, because I know you've talked to Joe about this. Baylor is really smart.
Yeah, I did. I said, when you give Baylor, you just give him one direction. And he was like, actually, I can give him about 20 things, and he picks up on all of them. And then I started watching him, and you're right. Like, he just figures out things on the fly. Joe makes adjustments with him. This is what I'm looking for. And it's got to be that whole quarterback thing. Like, just his ability to manage, like, you know, an entire team. But, yes, we call them lateral thinkers or, linear thinkers. They're not just pinpoint. They see the whole thing, and they understand the bigger picture.
This is one that I think we're going to remember for a long time. Obviously, the Celtics were already locked in as the 2 seed. So it didn't matter from a seeding perspective, but you could tell it mattered to the guys who played, to Joe Mazzulla, all the fans in this building. It was an absolute treat to be on the call for this one. And now it does sort of hamper Orlando, because now they got to travel to Philadelphia. I mean, I would guess they're going to go straight there from here and probably go back to Orlando before coming back here if they do win that 7-8 game. I mean, it makes it tough on them.
Yeah, if the game's on Saturday, then, you know, we have to figure that out. If it's on Sunday, you'll have to figure that thing out. So it definitely puts like, they needed to win this game, and maybe it's a reflection of where Orlando is as a team. In a must-win game, you know, they can't figure out a way to close it out, and that's kind of been like a snapshot of their season all year long.
Yeah, 19 turnovers for them. They shot 28% on threes. Obviously, you know, we were planning to do a little bit more of the Jim Edmonds stuff in the 4th quarter. We were hoping to have him directing it live, and you'd be able to hear Jim making all the camera cuts and everything, but then the game was so good that probably didn't want to distract from it. But shout out to Jim Edmonds on this Jim Edmonds Day, 45 years. Abby put it in perspective earlier. Every Celtics game that's ever been on cable here, Jim Edmonds was directing it. That's amazing.
Doesn't miss, and you know, we spent a lot of time together. I think I've been doing this since 14, so off and on for 12 years, 13 years, and the guy has been there every step of the way. And there's a few, like I mentioned earlier, Mike Gorman, Tommy Heinsohn, no doubt those guys have helped me. But Jim Edmonds, Paul Lucy, those guys are right behind it. And it's truly amazing, Jim. You're a legend. All the things you've done for this. And people here wouldn't enjoy the broadcast. And we know as much as these people do if it wasn't for the stuff that you do. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a treat working with you, Jim. It's been a treat covering this team this season. What a regular season this has been. So much fun to call all these games. This is, of course, our last one of the year because no more first round of the playoffs for us anymore. So that's a bummer, but we can't wait to watch what unfolds in the playoffs this season. It should be a fun run.
All right, fellas. Great call on the day and in the regular season. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Jim Edmonds, as well. And what a great game for him to have for his final game here in the regular season. Celtics with a comeback win over the Orlando Magic after trailing by 9 at the half. Sees upset Orlando 113-108. Your final score 56-26. Their overall record. Quick break. We're back with more here on Celtics Postgame Live.
Celtics Postgame